Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High, Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakakwadash, and I want to say Shalom to Yaakman Akwat out there pursuing this truth diligently. Coming at you once again with another lesson. And this is the back with 7 more essentials for new believers of the truth. And today we're going to be touching on the second part of, dealing with the elect in 2/3, right? Yesterday I felt like I didn't, even though it was an hour, I felt like there's a couple more scriptures at least that I wanted to get. So that's what we're doing today. I don't want to end the subject prematurely, so we got a couple more scriptures dealing with the elect and detailing who they are. So, if you haven't seen yesterday's lesson, I really recommend you go and watching that one first, or else this one's not going to make much sense in context. Of course, the scriptures will still hold weight, but we might reference things that you might not understand. So, getting back into it, and this one's going to be a little bit shorter, like a 30-minute mark, because this is just really a finishing it off, right? Polishing the plate, so to speak, right? So what we're going to open up with is Romans 11:7. We talked about how the elect is chosen, all right? Before the foundation of the earth, the Lord chose them. It's not something that you do. It's not something that, I kept every law and now I'm of the elect. That's not how it works. It's either you were chosen and you weren't, and the people that are chosen are going to act a specific type of way. Okay, the people that are chosen are going to act a specific type of way. It's not, I'm going to act this certain type of way because I'm going to try to be saved or be part of the elect. No, it's the fact of the matter is that the elect are inherently just going to act a certain type of way. The elect are going to be the ones that are searching and seeking for Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. The elect are going to be doing their best to serve him to his standards, up to his standards, all right, and keep the law to the best of their ability. That's just the type of things that the elect are going to do, whether they want to do it or not, because at the end of the day, we don't really have true free will. We have the illusion of free will, right? Because everything's been ordained and written out, bit by bit by the Lord, exactly the way it's going to go. And there's nothing that you as a man can do to change his plan. All right. You here it is. The Lord had you planned to be a bug out. All right. And you said, nope, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to seek the Lord. No, that ain't how it works. Okay. The Lord either brings you in or he spits you out. All right. Or, brings you in, and spits you out, or leaves you out there in the first place. Okay, so it's not something that we have any control over. And some people say, well, that's kind of what, so we don't even have a chance? It's not up to us at the end of the day. Okay, it's not up to us at the end of the day. The fact of the matter is there's 2/3 mindsets, and then there's 1/3 elect mindsets. A 2/3 is gonna say, what? So I might as well just send it on up then. All right, because if it don't matter, I guess I just send. Well, that's because you're a 2/3. Okay, that's because you're a 2/3. A 2/3 are going to have that mindset. All right, the elect is going to know that yes, while we're saved through faith, or not faith, but grace are you saved, and not of works, lest any man should boast, as the scriptures say. It doesn't mean that we're not going to try to do the works as well. Okay, not that we're going to try to be saved from or boast, but we're going to do it because that's what Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai would want. As the scriptures say, if you love me, keep my commandments. Okay, the 2/3 see election as a get out of jail free pass, right? You can just do whatever you want and still be safe, because essentially that's what it is. All right, if you're elect, it doesn't matter what you did at the end of the day. You were of the elect, and the Lord's going to forgive you from it. But the fact of the matter is that people that are of the elect aren't just going to be sinning it up. Okay, that's not elect behavior. That's 2/3 behavior. Okay. Remember, the 2/3 are rejected. The 2/3 are wicked. The 2/3 don't care about the Lord. Okay? So, if you're over here saying, I'm not going to care about the commandments, I'm just going to send it up because I might or might not be, all right? Then that's 2/3. That's a 2/3 mindset. You're a 2/3, all right, for thinking like that more than likely. Okay? That's not an elect thinking point. Or they'll hear about, the elect are going to be saved, all right, and they're going to be brought in the kingdom. But the 2/3 are going to die here on earth, but they're going to be reborn in the kingdom, and they'll be there in the kingdom, and they'll, have a portion of the riches and all that, and they're going to have everything and forever to enjoy it, and they'll live like royalty in the kingdom. They say, oh, well, fuck it, I'll just send it up here then and die, and then I'll just have it in the kingdom, right? Well, that's a 2/3 mindset as well, because one, you're never going to be on the same level as an elect member, all right, if you're the 2/3. Okay, it doesn't mean you're going to be wallowing in shame, but it'll be there. All right, that who wants to? I mean, silver is great, but it's not gold, right? Second is pretty good, but it's not first place. So why would you strive to get a silver medal? When people run, they don't run to get the silver. They run to try to get the gold. All right, and if they happen to fall short and get the silver, they accept it begrudgingly, right? And I heard a lot of people throw away their silver medals. Okay, because to them it's like, well, you tried but not hard enough, right? So why would you want a silver medal when you could go for gold? Okay, now that's what we're seeking. It's there's also going to be 144,000 of the elect. Okay, now the elect is just 1/3 of Israel, but in that there's a number 144,000 to be specific of those elect that are really elite men, and that's why you'll hear about the 144,000. And some people say, oh, there's only gonna be 144,000 saved. No, that's an elite force, and really those are going to be Yahushai's right hand men. Okay, not the elect that the elect won't. The elect will be in a great spot. Okay, but they're like, think about it as you as the elect being extremely rich. All right, and being like it would be like, let me see, positions of management. I can't think of them all off the top of my head. I want like a tier list. It needs to be higher than that. So yeah. So think about it this way. CEO. All right, it would be the CEO at the end, at the top. At the very top. Let me see if I can find one. That'll work, I guess. Good enough, but okay. It's not the best, but you're gonna have like the chief executive officer, the really the owner. All right, it would be Yahweh. Then you're gonna have his right hand man, Yahushai, of course. Then Yahushai is gonna have his 144, which are like the directors, okay. And then he's gonna have the elect, which are managers. All right, which they would be higher than a regular management. They would be like they have a name for them. What are those people called? They'd be like they have a vice president, director of operations manager. So you'd have, you'd have that sounds good. This one's better. So you're gonna have the chief operating officer, which would be Yahweh, the vice president, okay, of course, right hand man, all right, is Yahushai. Then you're gonna have the 144, which are like the director of operations, okay, and then you're gonna have the operations managers. All right, then you're gonna have like regular managers, and then which are the regular managers is basically just gonna be like the 2/3. All right, and then that's it really. Entry level, the regular team members, they're not even a part connected to Yahweh Shema Shai, but the people under that is gonna be like heathens. But yeah, man. So there's a tier list to it. All right, every ruling government has a tier list. So you're gonna have Yahweh, all right, then you're gonna have Yahushai, then under Yahushai you're gonna have the 144,000, all right, then you're gonna have the elect, okay, then you're gonna have the 2/3. Now mind you, not being of the 144,000 is not gonna be a point of shame. Okay, that's just something like, that's an elite position. That's something like, here, as you hit all A's, you did great. All right, you don't have anything, but someone went to what do they call that? Like the that class for like insanely gifted people. They went there and you're like, oh dang, those guys are really smart, right? If we're all getting A's and those guys got something, those are the guys like, all right, it's 5th grade, you're gonna learn calculus because you're a genius. That's the level it is. It's not. You're fine. You're great, right? But these guys have been chosen for an even higher purpose. Okay, so working side by side essentially with Yahushai. Which again, it's not a point of shame to be a part of the elect. That's what we're striving for. Some are going to end up as 144,000, and really, that's almost like in the end days. It's really going to be like his army, okay, Yahushai's army. But yeah, man. It will be a point of shame. You're going to have a period of shame as a 2/3, all right, because you're going to realize. When you're made pure, all right, because you are going to be made pure, you're going to have a good body, the perfect body, just like the elect will have it. You'll have, property and multiple wives, just like the elect will have it, but you're not just going to have it on the exact same scale, okay? And, you're not going to be suffering by any means. You would still be considered, a billionaire on this side, okay? So don't think, oh, I'm going to be living in a... No, you're going to be, even as a 2/3, you're going to be living better than Jeff Bezos. All right, but comparatively to the elect, when you put things comparatively, they have a stark contrast, a difference, right? So you don't want to, run for bronze, all right, or silver, okay? You want to run for gold, so do it. All right, that's how the elect are going to behave. The 2/3 are always going to be trying to find loopholes and ways out and workarounds, and that's not spiritual nor right. Right? And that's why the Lord's only dealing with some people. Okay? Nobody else gets it. So Romans 11:7, it says, "What then Israel hath not obtained, which he seeketh for." It's not all of Israel. They didn't get it, right? The knowledge, this truth, and understanding. All right? So if you came out searching this, hey, man, that's a good sign. All right? Especially, we're at the end. If you get this and you're really diligent about it, now, I'm just curious. But, you're really searching it out and looking, that's a good sign that you might be of the elect. Okay? Elect is going to be diligent. They're going to be searching out the word. They're going to be praying to Yahweh Shem Yahushai constantly, day in and day out. Okay? They're going to be trying to do the best of their ability. If you do those things and you call upon the true name of Yahweh Shem Yahushai, and you're in this truth and you're watching the lessons, all right, there's a good chance that you are of the elect. Okay? Because 2/3, all right, they might do that for a time and for a season, but they're eventually going to get spat out. They're going to have grievances and gripes, all right? And, I don't like that. Right? And don't get me wrong, when you first come up, you're going to have some of that, all right, a little bit, because it's grievous to you when you have to change, your whole life, which it shouldn't be, but that's just how it is as man, or woman. I mean, man is, humankind. Here it is, you smoke cigarettes and weed, and on top of that, you, what else? What else do you do? You, what's something that's going off? And your favorite food's a pork chop. Yeah, when you come in, you're like, oh, dang. All right? And you're going to have demons that say, man, don't listen to this. Don't listen to this. Just ignore it. Just ignore it. Don't do it. That's too much. But, the elect is going to get past that. And they're saying, nah, this is wrong. I need to change. All right? The scriptures say it. So, but again, the elect will eventually come out of that. They'll say, oh, they might have that demon get on them. And they say, oh, man, this isn't right, and they might struggle with the addiction for a little bit. All right, if it's like cigarettes or something, I did when I first came in, it was vaping. But every time I watch the lesson, I'm like, man, I really got to do this. I got to do this. I got to do this. I got to do it. And so, it took a while, but I eventually got off of it. All right, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Yahushai, of course. But the whole time, I wasn't trying to justify it. All right, I mean, I try to justify it at the very beginning when you're like, no, are we sure? And then you hear the scriptures like, there's no justifying. I just got to stop. And then you feel bad because, the addiction's got you. But, every time you watch the lesson, it's the truth. And you're like, man, yeah, I do need to stop this. But the elect is not going to keep on beating around the bush. I know, I need to get around to it. I need to get around. They're going to be actively working to stop that, okay? Stop that addiction, stop that point of wickedness, right? So not all of Israel is going to get it. It's just for the elect to get. All right. They're going to receive the word differently. They're going to digest the word differently. All right. And they're just different in general. Okay, Romans 11:7, what then? Israel hath not obtained that which he seeketh for, but the election hath obtained it, and the rest were blinded. So, that's why you have some people that understand the truth and some people that don't. There's a lot of blinded people out there, all right? And on top of the blinded Israelites, there's also the heathens, all right? It's not for them, all right? Only Israel can be saved. The truth is only for Israel, okay? The law was given to Israel. It's not for anybody else. All right. Actually, I heard Apostle Dahar say the other day, really, you shouldn't even be reading the Bible. All right. If you're a heathen. Okay. It's not your book. Okay. So really, you shouldn't even be reading it. There's no point in it. Okay. It's not your book. You should be banned from doing so. Because Esau or these demons, when they read the book, they're not reading it for, goodwill. They're reading it because they want to, find something out to do evil, all right, or ban something or find, just evil shit, all right, just evil shit. So the Lord only gave his knowledge to those who he really deems worthy of receiving the knowledge, okay? He's not just going to give it to every, Joe Blow or Joe Schmo, all right, however you want to say it, all right, a random, random, dude on the street, right? Let me grab a drink here. We can go and get Matthew 13 and 10, but I want to get all right. So I wanted to show you in Matthew chapter 13. So who is speaking? Because the disciples came and said to him, who is him? Yahushua. Okay. And you can see right here. All right, he's speaking right here in verse 3. It says, and he spake many things unto them in parables, right? And you can see on down, he spoke, all right, in red letter. So, after Yahushua was speaking, it says in verse 10, Matthew 13:10, and the disciples came and said unto him, why speakest thou unto them in parables? Well, why are you speaking to them symbolically, Lord, in parables? And instead of speaking clearly. And in verse 11 it says, he answered and said unto them, because it is given unto you, mind you, these are his disciples, all right, so he's speaking to them, because it is given unto you to know the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven, but to them it is not given. For whosoever hath, to him shall be given, and he shall have more abundance, but whosoever hath not, from him shall be taken away even that he hath. So, really at the end of the day, the elect, even though it's a parabolic speech, they're going to understand it. They're going to get it, okay? The 2/3 don't understand parables, okay? And another thing I heard from Apostle Tahar today, I was finishing up watching I still have a couple, it was long with the last Apostles live camp. And what did he say? He said, the elect are going to get it quick, okay? They're not going to be taking all day to get it. Okay, they're going to get it quick. All right, the fundamentals. Now, there's certain things that, of course, you're going to have to learn and get deeper knowledge of, but you should be able to at least pick up the fundamentals of, right? And say, okay, I understand this. All right. No, not like to a full extent. There's different periods of knowledge, all right? Like with anything, okay? If you know about glass blowing, all right, your first day, you're going to know something. All right, maybe not that much, and then next day you're gonna know more, and the next day you're gonna know more. Well, next month you're gonna, be pretty good. Several months you're gonna be pretty good. At the end of the year you might be, glass blowing yourself, right? And then by a couple more years you'll have a pretty good grasp. You'll be making better things with the glass blowing, and then 10, 20 years after that you'll be damn good at it. All right, you can teach other people. The ins and outs, the tips, the tricks, everything about it, right? So, knowledge is a slow build. All right, but it shouldn't be hiccups. There should not be hiccups. Okay, so the elect are going to stay on that build. They're going to build. 2/3, they're not going to have a build. They're going to have something that might be a build, hiccup, build, hiccup, fall out. Right? And really, they never really even built. They had the illusion of something being built up, that they almost thought they almost fucked around and learned something. Right? So here it says, therefore speak I to them in parables, because they seeing see not, and hearing they hear not, neither do they understand. So they're not going to get it. They're not going to get it. All right? They don't care. All right? Really, at the end of the day, it's because they don't care. I do care. You don't. You think you care, but you don't. All right? Where was it? But seeing they see not, Well, actually, I won't reiterate on that because it'll break it down easier in 14. It says, and in them is fulfilled the prophecy of Isaiah, which saith, by hearing ye shall hear and not understand. Okay, you're gonna hear, but not understand. Okay, like if I said, yeah, you heard that right, but it was gibberish. Okay, you don't understand it. I don't even understand it, right? Because it has no understanding, right? So you heard it though. You heard it though, but unto you it has no understanding. That's how the truth is to these people. It has no understanding of them. To us, it has an understanding. There's nothing there for them. All right. The scriptures where we look at and we get deep, edifying knowledge, they look at and don't get it. They don't see it. Or this, we're talking about hearing right now. When the apostle's going out and he's on fire, Apostle Dahar, the Apostle Bar, and they're teaching and preaching, they're on fire and you can feel it. They're not hearing that. They're not feeling that. They're hearing, I don't know what they're talking about. I don't know. What are you guys talking about? Mark, I don't even know what that is. Okay. All right. Right? And it says, and seeing ye shall see and shall not perceive. They'll see these things. Another thing that they'll see, not only the scriptures and they can't see and read them and perceive, all right, which again it's talking about, but also the signs of the times. They're going to see all these things going down, right? Cloudflare or whatever. That website keeps going down constantly, because they're trying to shut this internet down soon is what they're going to try to do. And all these different things that are going on, wars, rumors of wars, earthquakes, all this commotion in the world, and they don't see that we're in the end days. All right. Like Matthew 24, where it says they shall, a something generation, they shall search a sign. Matthew 16:4. I guess it's Matthew 16:4, not 24. But Matthew 16:4, excuse me. It says, a wicked and adulterous generation seeketh after a sign, and there shall no sign be given unto it, but the sign of the prophet Jonas. And he left them and departed. And going up in here, he's talking about, the Pharisees and the Sadducees came. And you can see in verse 2, 16:2, it says, he answered and said unto them, when it is evening, ye say it will be fair weather, for the sky is red. You can see, tell how the day is going to be by the weather, right? If it's dark, you're going to understand, it might rain, right? It says, and in the morning it will be foul weather today, for the sky is red and lowering. O ye hypocrites, ye can discern the face of the sky, but can ye not discern the signs of the times? And that's likened into how these people are now. All right, they don't really understand or see it because it's not given them to see. All right, they're not of the elect. They can't see. They can't hear. All right, so it's just like I like to say, I did gibberish earlier, but even a better understanding for that would be, a foreign language. All right, if for example, if I started speaking Arabic, which I can't speak, but and say you didn't know it, then you would hear it, but it wouldn't make any sense to you. Things are being said, all right, but you don't understand it. So unto you, it's like it's nothingness essentially. All right, it's nothingness. It's like when you're in a supermarket, you hear Asian, like, I don't know what they're fucking talking about, and you move on because you're not perceiving it, you're not hearing it. All right, you're hearing it, but you're not understanding it, and you're seeing it. You're seeing their lips moving, but you're not perceiving. You're not getting it. And really, at the end of the day, you don't care, right? So that's how it is for these 2/3 with the truth. Okay. In verse 15, it says, for this people's heart is waxed gross, and their ears are dull of hearing, and their eyes they have closed, lest at any time they should see with their eyes and hear with their ears and should understand with their heart and should be converted, and I should heal them. There's going to be some people that are, likened to that, that prophecy of Isaiah and that same spirit, but they're going to come out of it, all right, because they're the elect. Like at the foundation, a 2/3 and an elect, when they're in the world, it can be hard to tell the difference of. There's certain life differences that they'll have. Elect might have been bullied more. They might have been gone through more help. People might have had just an issue with them for no reason. All right, seemingly no reason. But that's about it. People are going to be more adverse to you. Like, I don't like this person. So, it's because there's something in you that's different, right? But one is eventually it's going to be apparent that one's changed. Like, oh, okay, this guy definitely is different. I see it, right? But, they're even back in the world, they're different. But that's they're still not in the truth, so they're going off. So really, it doesn't matter at that point because they're going off. But they're still part of the elect. They're still the elect. They just have to come out of that. So some people are going to shed that shell. All right. That wickedly worldly shell, and they're going to come into the truth. Or not some. All of the elect are going to do that if they're of the elect. All right. But some people are going to stay out there because it's not a shell. That's just how they are. Okay. Verse 16, it says, "But blessed are your eyes, for they see, and your ears, for they hear." So the elect, they're gonna be able to get it. Okay. They're going to be able to get it. Daniel 12:10 says, "Many shall be purified and made white." That means made pure. All right. That's what white used to mean. All right. Before Esau took it and called himself white. Okay. This page is white. Esau is not white. They're closer to this color over here. If you ever seen them, in the sun. It says, "Many shall be purified and made white and tried, but the wicked shall do wickedly. And none of the wicked shall understand, but the wise shall understand." So the wicked, they're just not going to get it. Okay, they're just not gonna get it. They're not gonna understand. They're not gonna perceive. They're not gonna know anything. Okay, it's point blank. All right, they're not gonna understand anything. They're not gonna get anything. Okay, they might understand maybe the smallest of something, but not really even, because they might be able to get a hint, a flavor of it, but they're not really gonna truly understand it. At the end of the day, like I said, I've told the name. I mean, some of these people are nice people, man. There's this homegirl, at my work. She doesn't work there anymore, but I met her. She has this man. They're both, two-third, hood rats. I met her man. They're cool. All right, they're cool people. As much as a ninja can be, right? Quote unquote. But nice. All right, not nice to her man though. All right, she'll tell all these things. I'm like, man, you got to be nice to that guy. He gonna fuck around, make him snap one day. All right, because he's a hood ninja, right? So, but I can get along, with them when they come in. All right, when they're there, they're not. I would never hang. First of all, she's a married woman, biblically, technically, they're dating, but technically really can't even be married because out in the world like that. But so obviously I would never hang out with her. But at work, she's chill, she's cool, she's one of the homegirls, one of the people that I don't fucking hate working with. All right, some of the people there I despise working with, but she's cool. And just like there's that guy I've talked about, dreadlock Rasta man. He's not a Rasta, but he's got these long dreads. And there's another guy, he's older, Jake, light-skinned, bald head guy, and I'm cool with him. All right. But look, at the end of the day, they're all more than likely two-thirds. And, with the bald guy and the dread-headed guy, we've talked truth before. And, the dread-headed guy gets it a little bit more than the bald-headed guy. The bald-headed guy, he's kind of like lost in the sauce. He goes to, thinking about Hebrew Israelite. Then he talks about Kemet. Then he talks about, these people. Then he talks about how the Europeans over here were these Japhet people. And then he understands that they're Edom. He's a mixed mind bug out. I'm not going to call him an Israelite. He is an Israelite by blood, but he's a mixed mind bug out. All right, you can see in his eyes, like, oh, because he's learning from like 15 different doctrines. So he has no consistency. Okay, like the Hebrew Israelite Edomites of Kemet. Like it don't make but from the Japhetic line, right? Don't let that mess up your mind. There's a lot of bugged out stuff in there, because it is, right? They're just, Kemet, some Egyptian shit, like Egyptian African bullshit. Then you have and the white man's not Japhet, all right? They're Esau, okay? But some people, it's Japhet. It's not. They fit Esau. If you go through the prophecy, and we're going to be doing that soon, as you can see. Esau is the so-called white man, number 3. We're going to be doing that and proving that it's undeniable. Okay, it's undeniable once you get the history, but they don't get the history because a lot of the time they're not reading their Bibles. They go to the Bible, then they want to jump over to the Egyptian Book of the Dead. They don't want to go to the Dead Sea Scrolls. Then they want to go to the Emerald Tablets. They don't want to talk about Kemet. They don't want to talk about Muslim. Man, you have no consistency. You don't know anything about the Bible. You don't know anything about Kemet. You don't know anything about the Dead Sea Scrolls. You don't know anything about the Egyptian Book of the Dead. You ever hear, here it is. I learned, that's like, I learned, I'm not going to learn how to make ratatouille, but I'm gonna learn how to, you know, chop one of the ingredients. But then I'm gonna move on to learn how to make a steak. Wait, no, then I'm gonna learn how to sous vide. Wait, no, now I'm gonna have to learn how to make a sandwich. You can't make any of these dishes. I don't give a fuck if you can chop some chives. Put it into the dish. Well, I'm gonna put it over into these tacos. You can't put chives in tacos. What are you doing? Well, okay, then I'll just use this lasagna. What are you doing putting lasagna in the taco? Okay, I'll just put the taco shell. I'll put the hot sauce on the lasagna. What the fuck are you doing? You're mixing everything up. Stop it. Right? You would never want to eat one of those meals. And that's what these people do. Right? That's a 2/3 mindset. Okay? And what I mention these people's for is they've talked, he'll say the name Jesus, then he'll say the name Yahuwah, then he'll say Yahweh. All right. Then I've told him, I said the father's name is Yahweh, the son's name is Yahweh Shai. And I've showed him, I think I even showed him the breakdown of how it's done. And he said, oh, wow. Okay. Talked about that for a day. Never brought it up. Never brought it up again. All right. Because it went in one ear and out the ear. It's same with my dad, man. All right. He asked me like 2 or 3 times. All right. What's that name? What's that name? Yahweh Shai. Oh, Yahweh Shai. All right. Wow. Okay. And I think he said it sounded familiar, actually, if I'm remembering correctly. He said, that sounds kind of familiar, like I've heard it somewhere. Of course, you've heard it before. Right? Of course. So, and then, a couple months goes by, he asked me the name again. Then he went back. He's a Mormon. All right, because his wife's Mormon, so he converted Mormon for her. And, he's on the Jesus juice. He says Jesus. All right? So, ridiculous. All right, ridiculous. My dad was never like that. All right? So, but I'm not going to put my dad on blast. All right? But he was never like that. All right? That's why you gotta watch out. The one thing I will say is you men got to watch out not changing for these women. All right, you got to watch out. You don't want to do that. Because now you've changed to a false religion. He really didn't have any religion. He wasn't really atheist. He just kind of did his own thing, right? But now he's full-blown Mormon. Went through the temple and everything, right? Because they had to get, they didn't get Mormon married, but they wanted to get, the full rites done or whatever, because they married outside of Mormonism, and I guess to do some, I don't know. I don't understand the Mormon shit. I don't know. But that's the only way that's really true. That's the only time Jesus actually sees it, is if you went through the temple and did all the witchcraft rituals, right? It's ridiculous. Okay? And his name's Yahweh Shai. So Psalms 91:7, it shows you one of the benefits of elect is that you're not going to die. All right? Ever. All right? There could be bombs blowing up by the side of you, bullets flying by, and, they're taking out everybody by you, but not you. All right, those bullets are just somehow missing you. Verse 7, it says, 1,000 shall fall at thy side, and 10,000 at thy right hand, but it shall not come. But it shall not come nigh thee. It shall not come near you. Right? Only with thine eyes shall thou behold and see the reward of the wicked. And that's what we're hoping to do. Really, we're hoping for front row seats. All right, we're not. This is bigger than the Super Bowl, baby. All right, we're trying to get front row seats, and you're either born with those tickets or you're not. Okay, and we're hoping that we got the front row tickets. I don't know how it's gonna be, but I always picture it, as me looking out, like the chariot window, all right, and looking out and watching this destruction. Or we don't know how it's gonna go, at the end of the day. It's just speculation. Okay, we know we're gonna be in the chariots, but we just don't know. I've thought that maybe it's like a hologram, right? Like let me see, Star Trek. Person. Maybe it's like this. Okay. Or there's one better. I'll find a better. It'll work. But like a hologram like this, but up closer. And we'll be able to see, all the people running around and bombs dropping. But we're up there seeing it either like a hologram or like looking out a big window, right? Hologram. I'm just going to look up hologram. We'll see somebody like I don't know if that's nude or not, so I'm not going to click on that. YouTube would freak out. Star Wars has got a good example. All right, we're seeing, they're burning up on fire, right? Or they're running from, a pack of wild dogs or something. We might see them like this. It'll be way more clear, though. Probably won't have no blue tint. I don't know if it's going to be like a hologram or looking out the window, but we're gonna see the judgment of these people. Some of us, will be running before we get beamed up. We'll actually see these people dying and through our eyes, actually, real first person. So, but that's the only way, if we're of the elect, that we're going to see it is with our eyes. We're not going to taste of it. All right. If someone gets blown up next to us, most that'll happen is we might get a little bit of dirt from the ground on us. Like, ugh, I got a little dirty. So it says in Isaiah 1:9, it says, except, and this shows you the importance, right? It says, except the Lord of hosts had left unto us a very small remnant, we should have been as Sodom, and we should have been like unto Gomorrah. So if the Lord didn't choose the elect that Lord 1 were a part of, then everybody would have been destroyed. All right, he would have destroyed, because he's destroying the 2/3. He's destroying the heathens, and then he would have destroyed the elect as well. All right, had he not made the elect, all right, made a remnant, okay, they would have been completely wiped out. There was no survivors of. Lot, right? Was Lot was like it was basically a representative of the remnant, of the elect, all right, and his family, all right, not his wife though. His wife was likened to someone that came, was in the truth, all right, was talking about it, seemed like they were, and at the last moment fell out, right, and ended up actually as a 2/3. So that's Lot's wife is Lot is a perfect example of the elect. And Lot's wife is a perfect example of the 2/3, right? Because, sometimes the 2/3 isn't always just going to be just out there. They might come in for a time and for a season, all right? Think Lot's wife. And then fell out, boom. I like it here. Turns around, boom, completely, saltified, all right? Saltified, get sodiumized, right? So, and really the 2/3, that's an example that what can happen to 2/3. The 2/3, a lot of them aren't ever even going to come into the truth, all right? As in, like, they're not even going to be around it. They're going to just be out in the world, all right? They don't care. And don't get me twisted. Some of the 2/3 are going to know a little bit. They might know, I know we're the Israelites, all right? All right? That's about it, all right? And some are going to know the name, even know the names Yahweh Shemiah Shai, okay? Some are even going to know that name. I mean, you got people who are IUIC that know that name, but aren't teaching and preaching in it. All right. Then you have other people, and some of those people in IUIC are going to be elect. Some people are going to be 2/3. Probably more than likely more 2/3 than the elect, but there are going to be some people, all right, that get saved, but they're going to have to come up out of that Jesus juice, all right, and call upon the name Yahweh Shemiah Shai. They're going to have those inner workings over there and say, I'm gonna call upon the name Yahweh Shai. I don't know, this Christ stuff, I don't know about it, right? They're gonna come out of that, okay, if they're of the elect, of course. So, or if it's one of the leaders over there, they're gonna stop with the name Christ, and they're gonna start teaching Yahweh Shai, Yahweh Shemiah Shai, and they're gonna come out of that and eventually leave from out of that, okay. But a lot of their pride's gonna hold them back. But yeah, man. So, but a lot, some people are gonna know a little something. There's even that one guy, that had Yahweh Shai Day. That's a 2/3, but he was calling upon Yahweh Shai. Okay, so just because you know the name, don't mean you're part of the game. Okay, so Revelation 7:1-3. Let's get that, and then we're gonna close out. It says, and after these things, I saw. So nothing can happen until the elect is sealed. Okay, until the elect is sealed. Okay, really the end of the world cannot start until all the elect is sealed. Okay, because bad stuff's gonna be happening. People are gonna be getting got. Okay, so verse 1, it says, and after these things I saw 4 angels standing on the 4 corners of the earth, holding the 4 winds of the earth, that the wind should not blow on the earth, nor on the sea, nor any tree. And I saw another angel ascending from the east, having the seal of the living power, and he cried with a loud voice to the 4 angels, to whom it was given to hurt the earth and the sea. Now this is basically once they let go of those winds, man. That's it's done. It's Armageddon Day. Boom, bam. All right. And so 3, saying, hurt not the earth, nor neither the sea, nor the trees, till we have sealed the servants of our power in their foreheads. So that's prophecy. All right. We got to get another scripture. this is at 2nd Esdras 4 and 37. It says, by measure hath he measured the times, and by number hath he numbered the times, and he doth not move nor stir them until the said measure be fulfilled. Prophecy. All right, the Lord has prophecies, and one prophecy can't happen without the other prophecy happening. Okay? Yeah, I want to make sure. But yeah, one prophecy can't happen without the other prophecy. Okay? So there's a specific order. They're numbered. All right? We don't have the number of them. All right? Well, I mean, we can see a little bit which prophecies have to go, but how they're going to come about, when they're going to come about, that's for Yahweh Shem Yahushai to know the exact details. All right, we just know the times and the season, and we can tell which prophecies are left. Okay, but one of those is that one of the prophecies that the elect has to be sealed. All right, before the earth can be unleashed upon, right, by Yahweh Shem Yahushai, so, and his angels, of course. So that's that. Okay, and no, if you're the elect, like it said, you're not gonna, only with your eyes are you gonna witness this. You're not gonna be hurt. All right, you're not gonna be hurt at all. All right, not even a hair of your head. So yeah, that's the part 2. All right, that's part 2 of 7 more essentials for new believers of the truth, and it's part 2 for the dealing with the elect. All right, so next it's going to be one of these 6 topics here. I'm not sure which one it's going to be. I might take an intermission tomorrow to talk about Thanksgiving and how it's wicked. All right, so don't celebrate it. All right, it is wicked. I mean, at the end of the day, it's celebrating the death of Native Americans, all right, which are your brothers. Okay, Jake, so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, Israelites. Why are you going to celebrate the death of your brothers? Okay, and it's Esau's holiday anyway. It's Esau where they said, oh, we did better. It's a lie holiday where they said, oh, we made a treaty, we made a pact, we're all good now, right? Native Americans don't celebrate Thanksgiving, all right, because it represents death and torment and torture and a lie that they were brought into. Okay, so why would you celebrate it? Don't do it. So you've been warned ahead of time. Okay, even though I haven't got into it, that should be plain enough for you to understand. Yeah, that doesn't make sense. Why would I celebrate that? And we're not supposed to celebrate any of these wicked holidays. All right, that's another thing I need to talk about. All right, is these wicked holidays. All right, reincarnation, chariots. Let me get that. Wicked holidays. They're really not even should be being called holidays, because holiday is holy day. All right, they should be wicked days. All right, is what they really should be called. But yeah, man. So that's what we got. Lord, and what was edifying. We're gonna close out there. All right, the music decided to turn itself off. But Lord, and what was edifying. Once again, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High, Yahweh, Bashem Yahushai, Bashem Rakakwadash. I want to say shalom to you brothers and sisters out there. Keep enduring. Keep the faith. We're almost out of here. Until next one, Lord willing. Shalom.